10 days. Joseph Duggar sat alone in an 8 by 10 cell. 23 hours a day, no contact with other inmates, reading the Bible, not sleeping well. Placed in solitary confinement, not as punishment, but because the jail decided that a man with his level of public notoriety needed to be separated from the general population for his own safety. The phone calls he made from that cell to his wife Kendra, to his family, have now been obtained and reported. And they paint a picture of a man whose world has collapsed entirely, and whose next major court date, an arraignment in Florida scheduled for April 20th, 2006, is approaching fast. Let us establish the full context one more time for anyone coming to this story fresh. Joseph Duggar, 31 years old, was arrested on March 18, 2026, in Arkansas on a warrant from the state of Florida. He faces felony charges of lewd and lascivious molestation of a victim under 12 years of age, and lewd and lascivious behavior. The alleged incident occurred during a 2020 family vacation in Panama City Beach, Florida. The alleged victim was 9 years old at the time. She is now 14. She gave a detailed forensic interview to authorities. According to the Bay County Sheriff's Office, after being confronted by the girl's father, Joseph admitted to the actions. He is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. But the legal process is now actively moving in 2 states. And on March 31st, 2026, after posting a $600,000 bond, Joseph Duggar walked out of a Florida jail and returned home to Arkansas. The 10 days inside tell a story that no amount of careful family spokesperson management can fully contain. Joseph was placed in administrative segregation at the Washington County Detention Center in Arkansas almost immediately after his arrest. Reason? His celebrity status. Jails and prisons routinely separate high-profile inmates from the general population because the risk of harm to them is considered elevated. Whether that protection is warranted in any specific case is a separate question from whether it happens. It happened here. And so Joseph Duggar, a man whose family spent 20 years on national television, sat alone in an 8 by 10 cell for 10 days, 23 hours a day. He described the conditions himself in the jail calls. Pretty small, enough room to do not much of anything. He said he was reading the Bible and resting. He said he was not sleeping well. 23 hours a day in a space roughly the size of a large bathroom. An hour of movement, and a phone through which he maintained contact with Kendra, with his father Jim Bob, and with other family members. The jailhouse emails and calls reveal something about how this family functions in a crisis that is worth examining carefully. Jim Bob Duggar sent Joseph an email on March 25th, obtained through a Freedom of Information Act request and reported by People magazine, that compared Joseph's situation to King David in the Bible, who royally messed up, repented, and told his son that God had already forgiven him, if he asked. Anna Duggar, the wife of Josh Duggar, who is currently serving a 12-year federal prison sentence for receiving and possessing child sexual abuse material, also sent Joseph a message of support from the outside. Anna Duggar, the woman who has lived through her own husband's conviction for crimes involving children, reaching out to support her brother-in-law, who is now facing his own charges involving a child. The layers of this family's experience with these specific circumstances, and their consistent instinct to close ranks and offer support to the accused, are impossible to ignore at this. The $600,000 bond, the legal fees in 2 states, Kendra selling the trailers and the 4-wheeler and the power tools, converting the family home into a rental property, moving herself and the children to an undisclosed location, described as worn out and physically weak. Now Joseph, back in Arkansas, back home, waiting for April 20th, waiting for a Florida arraignment that will begin the formal legal process in the state where the alleged abuse occurred. Victim, now 14, gave her a forensic interview. She was 9 years old when the alleged incidents occurred. She is now old enough to understand what is happening in the courtroom that will consider what happened to her. And the legal system, whatever its imperfections, is the only institution in this story that has consistently moved toward her rather than away from her. The arrest happened, the bond was set, the arraignment is scheduled, the process is moving. Here is what Joseph Duggar's 10 days in solitary confinement reveal about where this case goes from here. He has been released. He has returned to Arkansas. But the Florida case, the felony case, is not going away. The April 20th arraignment is where Joseph will formally respond to the charges against him in a Florida courtroom, where the legal machinery of a state that has been building this case, based on a forensic interview, based on the alleged admission, based on whatever additional evidence the Bay County Sheriff's Office has assembled, will begin to move in a formal and public way. The Arkansas charges against both Joseph and Kendra related to the exterior locks on bedroom doors and the child endangerment and false imprisonment counts remain active as well. This family is not navigating a media storm will pass. They are navigating a legal reality that has its own timeline and its own requirement, entirely independent of what any family member says in an email, or on a jail call. The Duggar family's instinct, revealed through Jim Bob's email, through Anna's message of support, through the spokesperson's statements, through the siblings who have spoken with varying degrees of distance, is the instinct of a family that has been here before. Not the exact same circumstances, but in the same basic shape. A son. Charges involving a child. The immediate pivot to faith and forgiveness and family support. The characterization of external legal accountability as something happening to the family rather than something happening because of the family. That instinct, documented now across 2 generations of Duggar sons, is what Amy Duggar King described as a deeper systemic issue. It is what the Shiny Happy People documentary examined. It is what Jill Duggar Dillard has been speaking about with increasing clarity and courage for years. 10 days in solitary confinement, reading the Bible, did not change that framework. An email from Jim Bob comparing his son to King David did not change that framework. Only the legal system, with its subpoenas and its forensic interviews and its courtroom, its juries, has the power to move this story towards something that looks like accountability. And that process begins in earnest on April 20th, 2026. Joseph Duggar sat in an 8x10 cell for 10 days. He read his Bible. He did not sleep well. He talked to Kendra about selling the trailers. He received an email from his father telling him God had already forgiven him. He received a message of support from his brother's wife, a woman who knows better than almost anyone what it means to watch someone you love face this kind of charge. And on March 31st, he walked out, posted his $600,000 bond, went home to Arkansas, and now he waits for April 20th for a Florida courtroom. The formal beginning of a legal process that the 9-year-old girl, now 14, set in motion when she was brave enough to tell someone what happened to her during a family vacation in Panama City Beach in 2020. Her bravery deserves to be named. Her forensic interview deserves to be taken seriously. Her right to justice deserves to be the center of every conversation about this case. Not the cell conditions, not the Bible reading, not the family emails. Her, always her. If you or someone you know has experienced abuse, please contact the RAIN National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE. That is 4,673. Or visit rain.org. You are not alone.